Interesting.
This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Recording has indeed started, and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits,
Phil Perich.
That's the man, the myth, the legend. Hey, heroes, welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I hope you're glad to be here. We're glad to talk at you. Okay, So, what the heck is that? I don't know why Ed is calling me right now. Can we pause for 1 minute, Phil?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me just see if it's a butt dial.
Oh,
hey, Phil. Hey, Ed. What's up?
Guess they can mute.
Ed, is this a butt dial? It's a butt dial. Okay, thanks. That was a butt dial from my good friend Ed back in Michigan. So
all the way from Michigan.
All the way from Michigan, our butt dial from Ed. Sorry. You know, I always worry when, like, friends who I haven't spoken to, like, live in person call me out of the blue at 9:30 at night. It's like, oh my gosh, what could possibly be happening that they're going to call me? It's like, Charlie, I have to let you know something horrible has happened. You were the first person I thought to call. Or something great has happened. You're the first person I thought to call. But no, it was actually just a butt dial. So, yay for butt dials. Okay, getting back to the show. Phil can edit this all out or leave it in if he feels this adds to the character and the concept.
The character of Charlie Esser.
Well, you never know. He might have said, hey, yeah, I just found out we're going to be in this film festival. So I just wanted to let you know. I was so excited when I heard. I just got this message. Except Ed's not the kind of guy to ever get excited about anything. So it'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah, he's very, very staid. Ed is the guy I do a lot of my video work with. He is a great director and cinematographer and co-producer and fellow writer, and he really helps bring my visions to life when I have visions, which is less and less as I get older, sadly. But let's get into the story. And speaking of filmmaking, Philip, did you see Assembled?
Yes, I did. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of say she's the power broker, but they don't absolutely say it. But they kind of say it, and it's like I think we can both be right.
Well, again, if it's
yes, I know the writers have their opinions on what their story was, but
again, too, if it's a Skrull or something,
well, no. I don't. Like I said, she has done a full heel turn. There's no denying she did a full heel turn. My biggest question is whether or not she's the power broker. Because to me, that is a different question entirely. And to me, the idea of there being a power broker in Madripoor seems odd.
I don't know if it's just, she still kind of sees herself as the good guy, but it's like, there was after the snap, there was chaos everywhere, especially in a place like Madripoor, and it's like, the only way to save a place like that is to run, take it over and run it.
Well, yeah, except that's the thing. It's like to me. So I guess here's what I will say about the concept of a power broker, and I think I have to go look at the comics and say what was the power broker in the comics, and what are they making the power broker in the MCU? To me, the power broker in the MCU is much more of what's the word I want to look for? They're much more of a larger than life character. I mean, the power broker in the in the comic books was just a guy who sold you superpowers.
A corrupt businessman. Yeah.
I mean, he was essentially the Carl Malice of the MCU. You know, that was who he was. He was just a guy. He could give you powers.
Well, Malice
That
worked.
was his thing.
Yeah, well, Malice worked for him. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, and when we got Carl Malice in the television show, I feel like that was a telling thing there. That was something that you know, where that could have been a power broker, but you know, they altered his story, as it were.
I mean, you want more proof that she's the power broker? I mean, I guess you could say he was working for him, but I mean, when they were interrogating that scientist, the minute Sharon walks in, Zemo shoots the guy.
Well, along those, but see, that's the thing. That's what I'm. That's my thing about this whole power broker idea. I don't think there's one power broker. That's the thing. I don't think there's a power broker.
I don't know. I don't think the name power broker screams, "Hey, I'd like to share control."
Well, except that's literally what you have to do to maintain control in a place like Madripoor. So when you think about, like, okay, here's what it is: a mob boss has no power if he doesn't have soldiers, if he doesn't have people that are, and a soldier isn't the same as, oh, I have a bunch of tough guys who do my bidding. That's not the same thing as being a power broker. A power broker is literally someone who brokers power, as it were, and you only can broker power with the consent of the ruled. So when you look at a concept like the power broker, so here's what you can actually establish within the concept of the power broker, which is this idea of maybe Sharon is there and she is selling herself to the 99% of the Madripoorians that the power broker is going to help them and gets them to rise up against the 1% of Hightown. But I think at the end of the day, the problem with that entire concept is that Hightown seems just fine. And I get the feeling that the idea of a power broker and the idea of a system in place to keep Lowtown low and Hightown high likely predates Sharon Carter coming there. That I got to feel like the power broker is something that is the legend. Like I've said, like the Mandarin, the power broker is the legend that Hightown tells Lowtown to let them think that the system isn't rigged against them. That you're in a world which is clearly, objectively corrupt and criminal, but that there is still someone out there that is the higher authority you can appeal to. There is a Godfather. And that Godfather character is going to be even the lowest of the low in Lowtown can appeal to the power broker when things go bad for them, when they get a bad end of a deal with someone in Hightown.
Well, I think that's part of it. That's part of Sharon's power. That's part of her protection too. It's like, no one supposedly knows the power broker's identity. Everyone thinks it's a he, and
Well, yeah, but along those lines, I get the feeling. So, like in my mind, Sharon Supply does one aspect of the power broker's job, and that is she funnels in CIA assets and other assets of super science and technology into Madripoor. Because even at the end of it, we see her talking to someone about all the extra tech they're going to be able to funnel into Madripoor. And it sort of creates this interesting idea that, yes, there is that she's the weapons aspect of the power broker, but that may not be the only aspect of the power broker. That there's also the money aspect of the power broker. And there is also the tactical aspect of the power broker, of which, that Countessa Allegra could be one, Zemo could be another. There could be many layers of this power broker up in Hightown. and that's sort of a cabal, if you will. A cabal, not unlike one that a certain goblin-esque villain who also uses green power technology, might be a part of. And that, I think, is what it goes into a little bit deeper. So my take on Sharon being the power broker isn't that Sharon is the power broker. It's that there is not per se a power broker. There is power to be brokered, and Sharon is one of the people that is a part of that.
So the power broker is like a group?
That's my theory. Now, they're kind of suggesting that she is, but again, they don't out and out say Sharon is the power broker either. In fact, in the assembled conversation, they have a lot of back and forth where they're saying, are we making it too obvious? Are we making it too subtle? Now and which is an interesting thing to state about it, because it's like, well, how are you making it too subtle? And it kind of implies to me that there's more to it than just she's the power broker. I
don't know that and one or two other things. It may almost seem weird. It's almost like they were saying, well, okay, guys, we're about to spoil you. So if you haven't watched the series, go watch the series before you watch this, because you're going to get spoiled.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that there's certain actions she takes that seems to be counteracting what the power broker might actually do or say.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if we have the power broker, so for example, when the hit goes out on Bucky and Sam, and she shows up, so immediately you have to ask, well, what is her purpose in having this hit go out on Bucky and Sam? What exactly is the purpose of that? And it's hard to see. It's hard to see what the purpose of that is. I mean, you could say, "Oh, this is how she ingratiates herself with them because it's part of her plan to kill the super soldiers." But isn't that what Zemo's doing already? Because for what it's worth, the super soldiers were kind of already marked for death.
Mm-hmm.
One could argue. So her decision to help them, it seems a little out of character, and it seems like maybe there is more to this story than it seems. And I think that there's a lot of pushback and back and forth in her role, whatever we want to call it. If we want to call it being the power broker, or if we want to call it being part of the people that are brokering power in that thing. Because even if she is sitting at the head of the council of the power brokers, again, it's still one person on one seat. And one person on one seat can never be the whole of it. It's not ever going to be an autocracy,
but
because there are too many autocrats who are also at the table.
If she was one of a group, don't you think they would have at least like teased us with like a shadowy room and just like a bunch of figures you couldn't make out, but just to show you that, like, oh no, there's a whole bunch of them. It's like,
no, well, because why do they want to tell that story right now?
Well, they don't.
It doesn't help. Well, that's the thing, and it's what I always say. It's like it's always easier to not show and not tell.
Yeah, but
than to actually show and tell anything, because
you could show there's a group, but don't say who's in it, because you might be like you said, it's like, oh, is the contestant one of them? Oh, I don't know. Every movie,
but
out, you're gonna be like, oh, is that so and so? Is this one gonna be in that secret?
But the whole point is to get us to do that. As I've always said, the real advantage to these things is to get that nerd discussion going. That's what spurs interest in the product. That's what gets subscriptions. That's what is going to get us to go watch.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Black Widow. Because now we want to see Black Widow, but we also want to see, well, what does the Contessa do in Black Widow? Is she going to be this big bad in the Marvel Universe? The dark reverse mirror of Nick Fury?
That's the sad thing. I don't think we're going to get a lot. I mean, we're going to get something with the Contessa in Black Widow. They've already said it, but that was supposed to come out first. So I don't know if we're going to get that much more in Black Widow.
Well, I don't know. We may actually get a lot of the Contessa in Black Widow, because it's sort of one of these things where this could have been that big celebrity cameo. Like, as an example, this scene that scene might have been after, like, because that's the thing, is like all the scenes we see, they could come in any order, and exactly how they all play out could be anything.
Yeah, but
so, for example,
last year, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we would have seen her first in the Black Widow movie.
Yes, but here's what I'm saying. So the scene with the Contessa and John Walker, that first scene and the second scene as well, both of those could have been just these great cameos, but they also could have been written in to be kind of back to back. You know, we don't necessarily know that there was supposed to be like an entire episode between them, or one might have been at the start of the episode and the other at the end of the episode. Exactly how this was all supposed to be cut when they shot it is up for debate. So we might have gotten the Contessa in similar to the way that Coulson was introduced. Because if you recall, when we first see Coulson in Iron Man, he's the bumbling bureaucrat. Until our very last scene, which has our big reveal that Coulson is actually the super secret master spy all along. And so we may get a bunch of little Contessa scenes, a bunch of little Val scenes in Black Widow that eventually have the reveal that no, it was the Contessa Valeria Allegra de Fontaine all along at the end. And then these were meant to be these little extra spicy things to say, this is how you know this is all connected now. This is our Nick Fury scene at the end of Iron Man to say, you've just stepped into a bigger universe. And this is to really put the nail on the head that this is meant to be part of that bigger universe. So I can definitely see that having been their plan, but that they eventually said, you know what, it's a great joke, but I think that the time for that joke is past. Like, it would have been really cool if we said, oh, it's her. Oh, she's back. Oh my gosh, it's all this. And then when we got into WandaVision, maybe there'd be something else. Who knows? Maybe Hayward's going to be in there too somewhere. We'll see, you know. But the idea that there was going to be this extra story, I think that we could see a lot more of her in Black Widow. And I do think we're going to see a lot more of her going forward. I think that is what they're building her up to be. And I think she's going to be the one that is looking at the Secret Invasion as a negative. Because we all know that poor old Nick Fury's up there in Tahiti right now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting his brain rewired to not know what's going on.
I mean, Steve Rogers
sitting there with a fuzzy drink.
Steve Rogers could be up there too. I mean, they dropped that at least 2 or 3 times in this series. Oh, I thought he was on the moon. So watch, he's probably on the moon.
Well, or he's somewhere. And
I mean, I can literally see them saying, "Oh, look, we told you, he's on the moon."
Or maybe he's working with the Contessa. That's the thing. That's where it gets a little more complex, because maybe he's like, Skrulls. I don't know if I trust Skrulls.
Yeah, but I don't see Steve working with John Walker, though.
Oh, I can totally see Steve working with John Walker. He's a soldier.
Yeah,
he's won 3 freaking Congressional Medals of Honor. You don't think Steve respects stuff like that?
Well, maybe before, but once he bludgeoned that guy to death with Steve's shield, I don't think he would work with him after that.
Oh, I totally think he would. I think you have a completely different understanding of Steve Rogers than... No, Steve Rogers doesn't like to kill, but he understands that sometimes you have to.
Yeah, but he didn't have to kill that guy.
You see, that's the real question here. This was a super soldier who held him back, who threw knives at him, who was actively trying to kill him 2 minutes ago.
Steve and Bucky, or Sam and Bucky would have tried to bring him in.
Yeah, they would have tried, absolutely, and probably he could have. And what I'm saying is, Steve is definitely going to understand that was a bad move. but it's not like it's not. Here's what I'm going to say: Steve is going to
Steve
understand
killing-
in the same way that Sam reaches out to Kylie or Carly. I forget if it's Kylie or Carly,
Carly.
but the same way that Sam is reaching out to her, Steve would absolutely reach out to John Walker because he's going to understand that, you know, I know why you did what you did.
No.
Yes. Why do you? That's the thing. It's like everyone is acting like what John Walker did was unforgivable, and here's what it is: it's unforgivable because it's on videotape.
He could have knocked the guy out. He bludgeoned him
Yes.
to death with that shield, Charlie. Even okay, say okay. Even
Yes.
I will go with your concept. Say he had no other choice than to kill. He could have gave him a much more merciful.
Oh no! I'm not going to say that he gets off scot-free. And for what it's worth, he doesn't get off scot-free. This is sort of what. So this is how I would see Steve's reaction to John Walker. Is he did a bad thing? He got severely punished, but Steve's going to believe in the redemptive power of this guy. That this guy is going to be able to make the right choices down the line. And I could absolutely see Steve being willing. Heck, Steve was willing in the last appearance of William Nosland, the Grand Master, Evil Cap, to say, you know, I understand what you're trying to do. I really do. I understand you're trying to be the hero. You don't have to. You can rest. And I can see Steve looking at someone else who's been through real trauma and saying, you know what? I might not have made the right choice, or I may not have made the same choice as you, but I'm not going to say that your choice was so evil as to make you irredeemable. Because every other aspect of your life has been trying to do the best for the most good. Because you have thrown yourself on grenades many times, because you have fought valiantly to protect people. I understand that.
I completely agree, but I mean, people, let us know. Let us know who, you know, what do you think? But
I don't know. How many people do you think Peggy Carter has killed in cold blood just for expediency's cakes? You know, that's the thing. It's great.
I don't think Peggy Carter's killing for expediency. I mean, if the situation calls, you know, she's self-defense or saving someone else, I could see that. Or if it's like if it's in the war, I can see that. But just any other time, I don't see Peggy Carter killing people left and right.
Well, I guess what I will say is that, you know what? There's always a war.
How many people did she kill in her TV series?
It was a TV series, so and there were a lot of people who died in it. To be fair, as to how many were, oh my gosh, you fell off that tower. You know,
I mean, again, that's the writing, but it's like, how many did she purposely say? Okay, yeah, you got to die. Boom.
Well, probably less than she should have, because then Hydra took over S.H.I.E.L.D. so under her nose. So maybe there's a bit of a Batman Joker story to be told in this as well. Like I said, it's not that I'm saying that Steve is going to be okay with what John Walker did. It's that I think Steve is going to see that there is more to John Walker than that one bad day. And that, I think, is the real point of Steve, which is that he is at his core a good man.
Oh, I mean,
and a good man is going to look at another human being and understand that they're going through stuff too.
I get that. I totally agree with that. I don't see Steve putting him in the field after that. I could see Steve saying,
no. I don't think Steve made the choice. Well, actually, no. And again, I think that there's this idea that if you're going to look for, well, first off, Steve made his choice. Steve said Sam is Captain America. Now, that doesn't mean that Sam picked John Walker to be the next Captain America.
No.
It was just this idea that, oh, we need a Captain America. Sam is not willing to be Captain America. And then on paper, John Walker is a pretty good Captain America. He's a 3-time Medal of Honor winner. I don't even think that's physically possible.
Yeah, but with the time travel, how much time did Steve Rogers have to think about who could be the next Captain America? I mean,
arguably he made that decision before he left, because
true.
In this story, Bucky even says when Steve and I talked about it. We never thought of, and which also goes into that entire concept. Like, oh yeah, no, we had this idea,
but
that you'd be a great Captain America. We never really thought about what that would mean for you.
But then again, too, he had decades to rethink that, and he still went with Sam.
Mm-hmm. Because Sam was the right choice, but that doesn't mean. So, and again, I think the problem is, and this is what leads to Hydra Cap scenarios. When you put Steve on a pedestal as something other than just a kid from Brooklyn, you immediately start ascribing to him ideas and factors that aren't really meant to be in play.
I'm not saying he's perfect, but I'm just saying after the whole, bashing the guy's head in with the shield, I don't think Steve's going to put him in the field. I think Steve's going to say, let me get you some help. You obviously have some PTSD.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that, but I can also say that the man is going to understand this man's also a super soldier.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that Cap is working hand in glove with Valerie.
That's the thing, though. I mean, John Walker's a super soldier now because he took to some serum that's made by one of the the power broker scientists. Some untested serum. I mean, it's driving Carly and the other one. Drive Carly crazy. It's like, you're really going to trust Walker when he's taking some unverified serum?
Well, who knows? Look, I'm not even saying that he's working. And again, this is where it goes into levels, Phil.
Yeah.
So Steve could be working with Valeria or Valerie.
Val.
Val could be working with. Just think it. Don't say it.
When she first met John, didn't she say, call me Val? But then in the last episode, she goes, don't call me Val.
No, she says that when she actually says it. She says, Val, but don't say it. Just call me Val. Says, but don't say it. Just think it. Don't say it. Because actually what her point is, don't say my name. Don't acknowledge I exist. We're kind of off books. And when you get, and again, this goes into this question of a character like Black Widow, who is living her life off books, goes to a character like Hawkeye, who has killed way more people than John Walker has.
That's my thing. I'm like, is he going to answer for that in his series? Because I mean, he's
not in the slightest. Not in the slightest.
Oh no, trust me, I'm not for letting him off the hook. I mean, yeah, he killed all bad people, but I mean, he spent 5 years.
He's gonna feel really honestly bad about it, Phil. No, Hawkeye is not going to, because he killed people that. Phil, has Batman ever been held to account for all of the people who
but most
fell off of buildings accidentally while they were running from him?
Yeah, but I mean, Batman's identity is secret for the most part. So I mean, really,
is it though? Is it though?
Anyone who would come after, I mean, the police don't know who he is, so it's like, hey, right now in the comics, they have a new mayor who's against all vigilantes, and the police he keeps ordering the police to try to arrest Batman, and they keep trying, but they just can't do it.
Yeah, and it is what it is. I'm not saying. Look, all I'm saying is, Phil,
I told you, Clint Barton should be held accountable. I mean.
Yeah, and I think John Walker will have been held far more accountable than Clint Barton ever will be.
Yeah, but how accountable did they hold him? I mean, basically.
Well, I mean, here's what I'll tell you. I will tell you that his wife probably left him.
Who?
What?
Who?
His wife.
John Walker?
No. Clint Barton.
Oh, maybe.
His wife left him. He doesn't have his kids. That's how you have Pizza Dog, man. Because it's like, so you went on a murder rampage, huh? It's like, I'm so glad you're back. It's like, you're not the man I married anymore. I'm a little off on you now, Clinty. That's that story.
I just wonder if they're going to do something where he's in therapy or something like Bucky was, because I mean, I wonder if somehow the way he gets out of it is like they deemed like he was like mentally incompetent. He was just,
Philip,
Hmm.
you do realize they have no evidence he killed anyone?
Oh, true. Because I mean, what?
Yeah,
That's
he
true.
killed a bunch of people. It wasn't on camera.
Well, I was going to say the only people we really saw talking about it were Natasha, and she's dead, and Rhodey. So if Rhodey keeps his mouth shut, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, and and again, what happened with John Walker was it happened on camera. It happened on camera on a bad day with a bad situation, and that is not a good thing because obviously cops have to be held to a much higher standard.
And you're like,
of them,
he was held accountable. What happened? Basically, he lost his job and his pension. That's it.
that is actually a lot when you don't have any other viable skills. But
I mean, you kill a human being. I mean,
he killed
your job and your money.
And you know what? That is what happened that is what normally happens to cops who kill people. So to be fair, no, he wasn't. It was in no way justice.
Yeah, I'm not saying
it was in no way justice, but to say there was not an adjudication of his case. In fact, there actually wasn't an adjudication of his case. There was no court martial. He was literally just stripped of his rank and privileges by a extrajudicial body.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not realistic. It is. I'm just saying, yeah, it's not.
No. But what I'm saying, and to give you a secondary aspect of it, he's still completely open to civil litigation and could be held accountable in the world court. So there actually are crimes that he could be held accountable for in later stories.
Yeah, but again, too, I don't know if that flag smasher had any family, and two, most of these countries are like, oh yeah, these people were terrorists, and I don't think they're going to be.
Well, yeah, and that's the other aspect of it because of who he killed, regardless of that's the thing. If you shot Osama bin Laden in Times Square as he begged for his life, would you necessarily be considered a pariah in society? Or would people say, yeah, that guy was a terrorist and he killed a bunch of people?
Yeah.
And that is the thinking that leads down the path to HydroCap. And quite frankly, because you want to put people on a pedestal, just as people want to put Steve Rogers on a pedestal and say he couldn't make a mistake about working with John Walker. But then again, we know in the comics, John Walker is a person who has had bad days, but still tries to be a hero.
I'm not saying it's the right or wrong decision to work with John Walker. All I'm saying is I just don't see Steve Rogers doing it. I mean, maybe it's because
yeah, but he's probably seen a lot more in his last.
I'm not even trying to put Steve on a pedestal. I'm just saying I think just the way Steve thinks, because he was born in the 1920s, he would see this John Walker as someone maybe unsavory. Yeah, just.
Well, no, actually, I think he would see him as, and again, this is this idea that everything about John Walker on paper looks good.
Oh, I think
he's got a very close African American friend. He's married a woman of color. He is definitely a person who is solid and dependable on every level. He has a lot of PTSD that he is not dealing with.
That's what I said,
and that is problematic.
Before the killing, okay, I might have given you that, but after John Walker does that, I think Steve's like, no. Especially, it's on camera. Steve can watch him do this. It's like, no.
Yeah, but at the same time, again, like I said, hey, Phil, Bucky killed a lot of people too, on camera. And you can say, well, he was mind controlled by the Winter Soldier, but also at that moment, he's hopped up on super soldier serum. So is there more to that story as well?
Well, yeah, he's mind controlled.
I mean, when you come into that question of what would Steve Rogers do? At the end of the day, what I would say is Steve Rogers would give John Walker a second chance.
Wait. So you're saying Bucky, there's no extenuating circumstances with Bucky because he was mind controlled? He was
No, there are extenuating circumstances with Bucky because he's mind control. I'm saying that same idea of extenuating circumstances can be applied to John Walker in that moment too.
John Walker
not
wasn't mind control though.
Well, he's hopped up on super soldier serum, an unstable super soldier serum at that.
Which he took himself. No one forced that super soldier serum on him. Bucky's mind control was forced on him. No one forced John to put that serum in his blood.
Yeah, but also,
Hey,
Phil,
uh-huh.
Cap worked with Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, but I don't think he knew.
No. Cap worked with Scarlet Witch. Cap looked at Scarlet Witch, said, "I understand you've been through a lot, and I am willing to give you that second chance. I understand you almost killed the entire population of the planet. I also understand you killed a lot of people and mind controlled all my friends and caused all this death and destruction. I am willing to look back past that because I understand you had a bad day." And to be fair, we don't know about Cap's bad day.
But who did she kill in Age of Ultron?
Who did she kill in Age of Ultron?
Yeah, you're saying he gave a chance. Who did she kill?
I don't know how many people did the Hulk kill when he was mind controlled. How many? I mean, hey, we just saw Invincible, my friend.
Yeah.
Those wars are not. And hey, guess how many people died in Sokovia? I'll guarantee you, it's at least 3.
You can't blame Sokovia on her. That was Ultron.
She helped Ultron the entire time. She was a part of that up until the very end. She is actively a part of Ultron's plan until she finds out what it is, sure. But the fact of the matter is that and up until that point, she is more than happy to see all the Avengers die. Definitely Tony Stark can die. She is not pulling her punches at any point in that story up until she realized, oh, I don't want to kill everybody. So no, Cap is willing to overlook people's bad days. So, like I said, Cap giving John Walker a second chance makes absolute perfect sense in my mind for Steve Rogers. Because here's what I'm going to tell you. Freaking Sam Wilson gives John Walker a second chance. When John Walker shows up, him and Bucky are fighting alongside him, working together, because they know this guy understands what he's here to do. He knows he made a mistake. He's willing to redeem himself.
Well, that made no sense.
No, that made perfect sense, actually. And again, it doesn't make sense to you because you want everyone to be a moral paragon.
I mean, basically, remember what was that at the beginning of episode 5? I mean, they broke his arm, they took that shield, and and then he just shows up, and it's like, oh, hey, guy, what's going on? Shouldn't it? I mean, if nothing else, even if they did work with them, shouldn't there have been at least a couple lines of, hey, what the hell are you doing here, Walker? You shouldn't be here.
Well, except they didn't have time for that, Phil. They're in the middle of a massive terrorist attack.
You're saying while they're throwing a punch, they can't just say, hey, Walker, get the hell out of here?
No, because he's helping. Because at every turn, he's helping. And there's no reason, when the guy's not causing problems, when the guy's making the right choices to save people rather than let them die, to fulfill petty revenge, everything about that tells them that he's the guy to be with, that he's the guy that is okay in this scenario. We don't want him to be in charge. We don't want him leading. But as a soldier, dang, he's a good soldier.
Hey, I'm sorry if I got you upset. I mean, agree to disagree. I'm just
okay. I'm just saying Steve would respect a good soldier. And Bucky and Sam respected a good soldier.
I mean, I could see Sam maybe going along with it, but again, I think I just think not a pedestal thing, but I think Steve is just too old-fashioned maybe to go along with that.
I mean, and again, I just think that infantilizes Steve. That would be my point. No, it's infantilizing. He's just perfect. It's infantilizing him.
I just think
honestly, that's why I will always say Peggy Carter totally faked the dementia because it's like, oh, I do not want to deal with you, freaking 20-year-old Steve Rogers,
Charlie, he's
who doesn't know what the world is.
Charlie, he's 100 years old. You're telling me a 20-year-old
No.
year-old think the same way?
When he comes out of the ice, he's 20. He's the same punk kid who was fighting in World War II, and he wakes up.
Again, World War II is a different era, though, too.
Yeah, and everybody else has had a lifetime to live and see really how messed up the world is.
That's what I'm saying. Since he grew up in that era, he went to sleep for decades. He comes out. I mean, I don't know if it's making.
But the Cap we see at the end of Endgame didn't. That was the Cap who lived a full life. So exactly how he sees the world, probably a lot different than 20-year-old. I'm fresh from the ice, Captain America. Yay, America!
What kind of life did he live? Did he live a sheltered life? I mean, was he?
No, he lived probably a full life in an alternate timeline with Peggy fighting Nazis and trying to do his best and realizing how many corrupt individuals there are, and probably had to make a few deals because no matter how powerful you are as a super soldier, you have to make the deals like the power broker, like Sharon Carter had to do.
And you're probably exactly right about that, about an alternate timeline, but I think that's sloppy writing on their part, because wasn't that the whole point of putting those stones back, so you didn't create a bunch of messed up alternate realities?
Oh, no. Well, actually, no, not at all. That wasn't the point of putting the stones back. The actual point of putting the stones back was to make sure that those universes could still function.
No, because I just watched that game the other day because Professor Hulk even tells him when he's on the time platform, he's like, yeah, make sure you put him back exactly where we got him, or else, clip those timelines, or else we're going to get some nasty...
Well, yeah, but you really think that he put the ether back into Jane Foster?
I don't know. I mean, if you don't, it's going to solve a lot of problems in that timeline. That timeline is already an alternate timeline because they've already taken things out of it. No matter what you do to return it to its core, that's always going to be the timeline in which old Thor met Freya. That's always going to be the timeline in which... Well, for all we know, Freya always met old, that Thor.
I mean, for all we know, but at the same time...
But she dies that day, so you don't know. She
yeah, I'm just gonna say no. Those were all branched timelines. It's just a question of how branched they were. What the Ancient One's real point wasn't that you're going to cause an alternate timeline. Quite frankly, her kind of point was, yeah, sure, it's going to be an alternate timeline. That's fine. The problem with this alternate timeline is that you've just taken a very central aspect of this timeline out of its reality. And now this universe can't properly function without it, because what she says is the Time Stone, yes, it's a very powerful weapon for the Sorcerer Supreme, but also said this is actually what causes time to exist in this universe. That when you take the Time Stone out, this universe ceases to have functioning time.
Then how does the current Marvel universe have functioning time if those stones have been destroyed?
Well, the stones weren't destroyed. The stones were dissipated. I mean, come on, Phil. You've read the books.
I know.
You know that you can't make the stones not exist. It's like, oh, I've made the essences of reality stop to exist. It's like, well, no, you can make the physical stones not exist. The essence of reality that they represent still exists.
And again, I mean, of course, there's going to be a huge alternate timeline. The one where Thanos comes from 2015 into the future.
Exactly, because all the stones are gathered there. So why wouldn't you go there?
So that alternate timeline is like, yay, Thanos is gone.
Yes. Well, exactly. That's the idea, is that there are all these alternate timelines that are created. What was important was to put the stones back where they got them so that those universes could continue to function.
Hey, what if? I want to see that timeline, the one where Thanos never snapped.
Yeah. Well, yeah, where Thor went for the head. And that's probably the worst timeline of all.
The timeline, there's no Thanos, so there is no snap. There is no hunting down the stones. And
yeah. Well, that's not really a what if. That's just an actual alternate timeline where
wow. What if is an alternate timeline where something happened different?
Well, no, because what it is it's it doesn't become because it's actually what happened. Is there is an alternate time? That's an alternate timeline universe. It's not technically a what if. It's just an alternate universe. So I'm just saying, like, I mean, obviously there's different ways you can work with the idea of what ifs, but anyway. Phil, you want to talk about some comics?
Sure.
We've run long already. Let's see here.
Sore subject, but John Walker, U.S. Agent.
John Walker, U.S. Agent. That's a weird book. It was okay, I guess.
I mean, it wrapped it up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things in there. We've got our the U.S. Kaiju project. That's a weird little left-handed dive, and the Saint guy, who's I guess Batman. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's technically Flashpoint Batman because I guess he's Thomas Wayne.
Well, he was trained by that little ninja master.
Yeah, who was trained by a ninja guy at some point. And
I mean, I think that's the problem. It's like, yeah, with this Saint guy and like even the little ninja master, you really don't get a lot on their background. So it's like,
yeah, there's a lot. There's and for what it's worth, most of what we get on their background is here. Although, hey, man, you got to give them credit. We have his sister with the shield, hammering her shield together. So good for that, I guess.
And I mean, I guess maybe she's just small in size, but doesn't U.S. Agent's sister seem kind of young to be his sister? Which again was like, remember how old his brother seemed compared to him? It's like,
yeah. Well, but we do know that he has a sister, and she's got some kind of serum, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works in this universe, Phil. I mean, it's interesting. I think better writers than me will be working through the John Walker U.S. Agent 5-issue arc. I enjoyed it. I bought every one, paid cash money for it. So,
and hey, the big thing, he got his shield back, his vibranium.
Oh yeah, and he's got his partner in the Kung Fu Master.
Yep.
Murray. So, U.S. Agent and Murray. That seems like it'll be a fun series, quite frankly. So I would be interested in seeing what U.S. Agent and Murray get up to next. I just think that there was so much going on in this.
Did this series just seem like it was meant to, like, unofficially tie in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, at least with the John Walker stuff? Because until he gets that shield back, he's throwing around those very breakable shields, and now at the end of this one, Val's like, okay, official, you're officially not on the payroll, but there's times where we're going to need someone who can, doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah. Well, you're never going to tell me that guys who work at Marvel don't get some advanced screenings.
I know they say they don't, but come on.
Well, or at least they get here's what I'll tell you is they talk to other writers.
Yeah, or they get the plot points and they say, "Here, work this into the book."
No, I don't even think that it's work this into it. I think that the writers talk to other writers, and I think that the writers, because that's the thing, I'll guarantee you that Spellman hung out with other writers and maybe wandered over to what's this guy's name, Priest's table. And said, hey, here's what we're doing with this, and this is what we're doing here. And they talked, and and they said, oh, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, something happened. Yeah, because I mean, it's just a lot of coincidence that stuff's happening in this mini series that's never happened in John Walker's history until
he's fighting a black Captain America, among other things. So
that, and I mean, he's always had like pretty much indestructible shield, and all of a sudden he's throwing around these tinfoil shields. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're steel shields, but
and the whole Val thing, it's like, okay, I'm your own.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Oh my god, if she starts like the Thunderbolts or something in the MCU, do you think Val Cooper is going to start like a new Thunderbolts team in the Marvel universe?
Well, I mean, I would imagine I think that's highly likely, regardless.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, the Thunderbolts are a popular idea. But hey, let's talk Savage Avengers real quick.
Yeah.
Conan in pants. I love Conan in pants. I love Conan just living his best life with the Rhino. I love also just the fact that that they kind of make the point that, yeah, no, most of the time when I'm robbing banks, I'm just like there to distract Spider-Man. Again, that classic. No, it's like, what? You think we just, what, we're trying to beat Spider-Man all the time? No. How do you think I'm still affording, my 9 to 5 if every time I try to rob a bank, I get beat up? It's like, no, someone else is robbing the bank. I'm just there to get, take the punches from Spider-Man. So that's brilliant. I also love, Conan, tossing around Spider-Man. And you got to appreciate that. And again, you do have the advantage in this that Spider-Man's not trying to just totally F up Conan in this. Because obviously we all know Spider-Man could if he wanted to. But Conan is absolutely trying to F up Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And pulls out his symbiote sword to help. And then does that classic supervillain move was, let me throw some guard into danger because you'll go save him. And I get the feeling our adventures with Citified Conan are coming to an end because at the end we get back to Cullen Goth, and apparently one of his, like the Priest of Sickles, was just a total Nazi, and but just loves serving sociopaths. He's like, and Cullen Goth's like, "Who told you could die?" It's like, "Hey, I'm not in charge of when I die. I'm in charge of when I get brought back. I'm ready to serve." Blah. So that's cool.
And I'm interested to see next issue. Yeah, it looks like he's teaming up with Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah, Ghost Rider is always fun. Conan really makes Savage Adventures. Honestly, I gotta feel like Conan in the 21st century this is the 21st? Yeah, this is
21st.
Is this the 21st century? I can never remember what the centuries are. This is the 21st. Conan in the 21st century. I am all about it. I am all about just everything is like in this alternate timeline. It's like, man, yeah, your universe, it's weird, but I love it, and I'm here for it. And they could keep on telling me Conan in the 21st century stories, and I am all about them. They're just perfect.
Disney doesn't have like the movie rights to Conan, do they?
Well, actually, I think right now Conan's in the public domain.
Oh, so they could like put him in the.
I think he's one of those 1930s characters who is now just. I mean, and it's sort of this weird thing with some of those characters where officially they're public domain. Like, as an example, Fu Manchu is public domain.
Yeah, no one's touching him these days.
No one's touching him. But if someone did want to work with Fu Manchu, they would probably reach out to the estate.
Yeah.
And so, likewise, the estate who owns Conan, Disney's going to make sure that they,
Yeah, if they give them some money, yeah, they're going to be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, hey, if they work with Kirby's family, they're going to work with Conan's family, and... and that's the thing. But I think Conan's probably public domain at this point.
Oh, he could show up in the MCU, probably.
Yeah, I mean, so certain aspects of Conan maybe aren't. So anything that was created after the original books, but most of that Marvel already owns, like Shimmer-Korath. So
But again, all you need basically is Conan. Just drop him in the 21st century.
Yeah. So we could absolutely get a Conan in the 21st century MCU story. We could get a Conan in classic Hyborian Age Conan as an MCU property, and I think people would love that.
I mean, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, you could have Conan definitely come through a portal.
Yeah. Well, your biggest problem with Conan is that Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't available. Well, actually, Arnold Schwarzenegger is always cool to play King Conan. He's like, I cannot wait to play King Conan. And his character, he is so iconic in the character. He's kind of like trying to replace what's his name as Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. I don't know if you can replace Conan as easily as you could replace Wolverine either. I think every attempt to replace Conan in any other media property has failed miserably.
I wonder, and you might probably even get Schwarzenegger's blessing. I think his son has been acting. I was going to say, get his son in the gym and stuff. I mean,
oh yeah, and here's what I'll tell you: Schwarzenegger has always blessed all the other Conans.
Okay.
He's never, because actually, like the first Conan was actually his stunt double. When they did the Conan TV series, that was his stunt double. The live action one, he was. No, this is totally great. I hope they have a flash forward where I get to play Conan the King. That would be awesome. And he's not. He's not. They didn't even ask me kind of guy. He's very much like, no, these are great. Conan's a great character. People should be playing Conan all the time. So no, he's not in any way pulling the legs out from under them. It's just that they haven't been good adaptations. Because for whatever it's worth, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger got Conan on a certain level, which is that he's not there to be. He's not there for pathos. He's there for crime, and he's there to kill people and be mad about it. That I would say is Conan in a bit. He's there to kill people and be mad about it. So let's talk Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Road trips. These kids stealing the Forever Gates.
But those Fantastic Four road trips, something always happens.
Yeah, it's like. Although here's a couple things I want to say on this. One is the whole, I sculpt my body all the time. How could you teach me to sculpt things better? It's like, well, because it's not your body you're sculpting, idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're going to be molding clay or stone. Is your body as weak as clay? Is your body as hard as stone? It's like, dude, it's a very different thing when you switch mediums. But it's also this kid being kind of a jerk to Alicia, but then she says, "No, this is my fantasy. I always dreamed of being with you. You've always been my guardian angel," which is sweet. We realize that Ben and Reed go on a fishing trip to the dimension of pure thought. Whatever you believe comes into reality, and all Ben is thinking about is like, "Well, man, this is annoying." And then you got like Bentley 23 flirting with Valeria. Valeria's like, "No, boys are stupid. I hate them now." It's like, okay. But he goes beats up her ex, who has like 23 wives. Because, dude, you went to Avatar World and they've got a weird different culture. And, we're doing. And then we get, of course, good old Bentley. Bentley 79, currently Bentley Prime, because let's be honest, much like the Mahler brothers, he's like the Mahler brothers, except he knows he's probably like the 855th clone.
Oh, yeah.
But he's fine with that because it's like, well, why would I care which clone I was? I've got 20 clones behind me, each one ready to step up when I fall, And then, he says he's going to bring him back into the family. And then this is actually my favorite part in this is we get an introduction to Franklin meeting with his new psychiatrist, who is Trauma from the old Avengers Academy series. And of course, he becomes what Franklin fears most. And what does Franklin fear most, Phil?
Franklin.
Exactly. Because that's the thing about the superpowers. He's afraid of what he might become. He's afraid of the power he has.
So is he pulling in Uncle Ben and his Uncle Ben and his powers aren't gone. It's just his he's putting a mental block on himself.
Exactly. That is literally what is happening. Because much like Ben Grimm, and Ben Grimm's problem is he doesn't want to be just a normal human being because he's felt what it's like to be the Thing, but at the same time, he's mad at himself that he can't be happy just being a human being, but he also knows that he can do so much good. It's so many levels for that. That's which is why he needs that little super powerful placebo formula that the group gave him. And that's the only thing that can do it for a mere 24 hours, Ben. For a mere 24 hours, this will work. And given that apparently, I guess in the comics currently, in some stories that they've had that I haven't read yet, Sharon Venture can turn back and forth at will. It is just the fact that, yeah, Ben Grimm needs the psychological lift for it. He can't accept that he would willingly become the Thing at the same time. Also, he can't accept that he would willingly become the Thing, but he also knows he likes being the Thing and that the Thing is necessary in the world. So this is what Franklin's going to have to work through.
I mean, it might be nice if like him and Ben could like work through it at the same time, and they both, work through this whole thing because it's just in my head.
Well, that's sort of the problem, and it's kind of that kind of thing that when you tell Ben it's just in his head, he gets mad about it. Because that's literally what has happened every time that someone tried to explain to him it was just in his head. Because literally when Ben came back and Reed says, "Oh, I didn't realize that you were planning on breaking," that makes sense because what was keeping you was this desire to be with Alicia and, da-da-da-da. And he's like, no, I killed him and I can never be Ben Grimm again. And Reed's like, that's stupid. That's stupid, Ben. Why would you even think that's the case?
Well, maybe it'll be better if it comes from Franklin rather than Reed.
Well, I get the feeling that there's going to be this thing where, like, Ben knows, but he does. It's sort of like a Commissioner Gordon kind of thing.
Yeah,
he knows, but he just doesn't want to say it out loud because if he can have his own plausible deniability, it works for him. And that's sort of where he's at with it. MODOK Heads Games.
Oh.
Did you get the chance to read it or no?
No, I did not get it. Read that yet.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We get the secret origin of MODOK. He was apparently the founder of AIM's Kid. He was not the brilliant genius that he wanted him to be. So that's why he turned him into MODOK to make him a super genius. But then, of course, MODOK does not cotton to everything he's done. He traps his father in his cell phone because he transfers his consciousness into that. And then he creates essentially an army of his family made of LMDs from the new series coming out to retake over AIM. So good for MODOK and his evil family of destruction. This was written by Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt. So I'm sure we'll see some references to this in our upcoming MODOK series coming out in May. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a good arc for good old MODOK. And my final indie book of the week is Transformers Meet the My Little Ponies again, Magic of Cybertron. It's the ponies, now they're on Cybertron, and magic happens. So if you like the first one, you'll like this one. Anything else you want to talk about this week, Philip?
No, that's good.
You sure you got any extra comics?
I got plenty, but no, that's good.
No, okay. I'm sorry. See, we all take over Phil's time, and he doesn't get the chance to ever talk about what he wants to talk about, including Man Things. Phil, save the Man Things for next week. We're going to talk about them, okay? Okay. Phil, if hopefully people enjoyed listening to this. If they didn't enjoy listening to it, it's probably because they were using substandard headphones and they were not going to tweakedaudio.com using the coupon code Southgate upon checkout to get a deep discount on high quality stereophonic headphone equipment. Likewise, they should after that go over to huntingkiller.com, use that same coupon code Southgate at checkout, get a deep discount on getting an escape room delivered to their house where they can use their intellect to solve a cold case with Michelle Gray. Whether or not that interests anyone, they can also just go down to our show notes, click on the Amazon link, go to Amazon.com, buy anything else they'd like to. And it costs them nothing. It helps out the show. Likewise, while they're there, they can check out Pod Life, the book written by the Southgate Media Group community, which is about podcasting, which is what we do. And if they do any of that and they'd like to talk to you, Phil, about that, how can they reach you?
If you want to reach me or anyone else, you can email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737 at 614-38-capes. And you can find links to everything we do, social media, merchandise, everything at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email where our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things, probably Stargirl, definitely Powerpuff Girls, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another episode. You've listened to me and Phil probably go on way too long. There were a lot of comic books this week and a lot of esoteric discussions about the true nature of Captain America. But hopefully you'll come back again next week and super connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.
I will read those Man-Thing books, though.
Okay.
Because I do want to talk to them, because I love the Man-Thing. So I had a lot of books this week.